This is a new YouTube segment where we talk about what we're doing here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we're going to answer some questions for you guys as to what the process has been like, how we got started here, and what we're now doing here now, which is closing up shop and giving this property back to its property owner. Brianna is here with us. She will be also giving her insight on how this process has been. And we are excited to answer your guys' questions just about, how things have been, what we've learned from this experience. So maybe you guys could take takeaways on what it's like, individually managing Airbnbs outside of your demographic and doing things, whether it's out of state or internationally, and things that we've learned so you can apply them if you plan on doing it yourself. Or if you're interested in either Brianna and I, you can just sit down and listen to us chat for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah. And hear what we have to say.
Yeah. So we'll get started. We have 10 questions that we felt were probably most frequently asked questions for us. So I'll start with the first question, which is, one second. Why are we shutting down this Airbnb?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So there's a lot of factors as to why we're shutting it down. To start, it would be seasonality of, Arizona, and being here in, Scottsdale. We were booked like 6 months out the year, and then 6 months it would be, a full dry season for us. It would also be 120 degrees. It's monsoon season. And so that deterred a lot of people from booking during the summer months. So we did see that this property did well half of the year. And we wanted to be in more all year round markets where we can, get a return on our investment, consistently throughout the year. That was, one reason for the seasonality and the weather here. Another thing was also not firing the first bad cleaner that we had. We kind of prolonged our time with her. And, over time, we were taking her word for it. We were new to this market and new to Arizona. And we were, the homeowner recommended her to us. So we were taking her word for a lot of things. And we're very naive. So over time, after a while, people wanted to get refunds. They were saying the place isn't as clean as we may expect. And, it was over time, that started to pile up, and customer satisfaction took a decline, and which resulted in the reviews taking a decline. And that's where we learned we need to fire and fire fast when it comes to firing cleaners, handymen, anybody that's on our team that's not producing great work. And yeah, after, having that situation with the cleaners, it kind of put a damp into our listing and, the guest experience here. So then that also contributed to us kind of just wanting to get out of the market. But mostly I would say the seasonality was like the main thing, because we changed cleaners, got a better cleaner, and everyone loves her and raves about her. But ultimately we can't fix the weather and things like that here in Arizona. So that was like one of the biggest things. So seasonality and would be the main thing.
Yeah, for those who don't know, here in Arizona, it gets extremely hot during the summer months. We're talking like 100 plus, sometimes even 110 plus. Even to the point where some people literally die from exhaustion out here. So during the cooler months per se, it gets around the 70, 60 mark, which is a very comfortable weather mark for people who want to be outside and still enjoy the outdoor experiences. Like golf is very popular out here. So during the winter months, you see a lot of people not only come out here for vacation and holidays, but for golf during the springtime. There's a lot of spring training for baseball season. So during the peak months, which is post-summer, Going into late spring, we see a tremendous amount of bookings, and we see, how successful this space really can be. Scottsdale is one of the more profitable cities here in New York during peak. I mean,
Arizona.
here in the United States during peak season. I believe it's top 5. I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2. I think Austin may be the other top 2, but it's one of the most profitable cities here during peak seasons. But like those summer months really do hit home. And if we were more so on a revenue split or a revenue share system, we probably would have kept this Airbnb a lot longer. But seeing that we chose to do the arbitrage route, which is where we guarantee the property owner a certain, or we guarantee them rent every month during those hot months where we're getting about 0 to 5% occupancy rate. It doesn't make sense to continue to pay the rent amount and we're not getting booked at all some months during those hot months. So, that's pretty much why we shut it down.
Yeah.
But we would say this was our first out-of-state Airbnb. And even though there were those rough months, this is what gave us the confidence to at least know that we can manage things remotely in New York.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Also, fun fact, we decided to go forward with this property in Bali.
Yeah.
We weren't even in the country when we decided to go forward with this.
And I guess we secured this property within, I don't know if that's one of the questions, but within maybe like a 3 to 4 week time span. We can get more into that. I'm not too sure if that's another question, but
I don't think that's a question.
Oh, okay.
If you want to briefly go over that, that's fine.
But yeah, we were looking for markets to veer into outside of New York, and we were looking at North Carolina, Las Vegas, Virginia, and reaching out to landlords all over. And some other landlords in other states agreed for us to, do rental arbitrage and rent out the properties or list it on Airbnb and things of that nature. However, like you said, with this property, we saw a lot of the nightly rates were higher in Scottsdale. So once the property owners gave us the green light, we, jumped on this opportunity, and that's how we landed here. We were just on Zillow and looking at, other potential homes that we can, manage and add to our portfolio. And this was one of them. And turnaround time was like 1 month. So.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we got here. And hopefully that answers that question. I think we did really well answering that question. So I think we're good to move on to the next one. So the next question for you guys, which how do I say this? It's a commonly asked question, per se. So the next question is, how much did we make from Scottsdale?
Okay. Well, yeah, we would have to actually go back to the financials. I would have actually.
So if we could give a rough estimate.
A rough estimate?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess a rough estimate. Gross income, I would say. I guess gross income between like 40 and 50,000.
40 and 50,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so.
And that's booked for half of the year, and that's just for half the year.
Yes.
Roughly bringing in like between between 6,000 and 7,000 a month. 5,000 on like a slow month, but between, I would say, like 5,000 and 7,000 a month.
Okay. And that's during peak season, right?
Peak season, yeah.
Right, exactly. And then during the not so peak season, we brought in significantly less, unfortunately. But the way this market kind of works is you bring in so much during the peak season, it kind of offsets the not so peak season or slow season. And that kind of balances out, how much you bring in.
It balances
yearly.
it balances it out for you to like break even mostly, because
Yeah.
our New York properties can do six figures in a year. That's because they're booked all year round. So if you're doing 12 months, and here half a year is just only 40 to 50,000. Our New York properties can do 40 to 50,000 within 6 months as well, and those are all year round. So that's kind of gives you guys a perspective on why we prefer the all year round markets.
Yeah. But
yeah.
also, it's break even if you're doing arbitrage.
Yeah, break even if you're doing arbitrage, because you still have to pay the rent.
Yes.
So
if you were doing a revenue share, if it's a hot month and the place isn't getting booked due to weather reasons, then it wouldn't come out of anyone's pocket, basically.
yeah.
So that's how that kind of works. But to build off of that revenue question, during peak season, how much a night would you say, what's the highest per night rate that we had here in Scottsdale?
The highest per night rate was $360.
Okay.
Yes, I think $360, that was on Airbnb, but Booking.com, we had like a 15% increase on that. So for Booking.com bookings, it would be the $360 plus an extra 15% on top of that. So whatever that math is,
Okay.
that's probably boosting it up to what?
And then what's the lowest that we've had it during, like, let's say, slow season?
The lowest that we've had it would be, the lowest had it would probably be like between $100 and $150.
Yeah.
Like just trying to get something, because there have been months where we had no bookings at all.
Absolutely.
And we're in a townhome complex where there's a lot of homes that look similar to our townhome. So there is competition, and so our goal was, we're figuring out how can we be different, how can we stand up in competition. Like, why is this house in this market not getting booked like our other listings?
Yeah.
So, those are all things to take into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And this place does have a pool, especially being in a hot place like Florida, Vegas, or Arizona. Those kind of amenities are important because people want to be able to cool off. The biggest thing that we were always asked is there a pool, and is the pool heated? Even if we said we had a pool, people wanted to make sure that it was a heated pool. And I understand why they're saying that now, because when we went into the pool the other day, it wasn't a heated pool, and it's so cold and it's uncomfortable. So even though if you're hot, you still really can't get in the water because it's just so cold. Don't know why.
Yeah, that water.
Yeah.
That water. We literally spent 45 seconds in the water.
Yeah.
And
it was.
I would say 40 of those 45 seconds was basically us just trying to get in the water. We didn't jump into the water as most people recommend, especially when the water's cold. We were walking into it, and then we were just like, no, this is too cold. We actually went out of the water to heat up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the amenities.
A jacuzzi may have been something would have been the last straw that I would have pulled.
I don't know why people like jacuzzis.
They like them out here, but
do you like jacuzzis?
I like them, but you can also have a cold jacuzzi where it's it's not
There's
hot.
Cold jacuzzis.
I mean, it's just blowing the jets on you. I would figure. I mean, you don't have to have I would think so.
I'm not a fan of jacuzzis.
But it would be more private back here, I feel. Because the pool here is the community pool. So just having that jacuzzi, it does get a little cool at night.
Complex pool. Oh, complex pool.
Complex pool.
Community pool is...
Oh, yeah. So the people who live in the townhomes in this area. So, yeah.
Community pool is like Costco.
Yeah, not a community pool, but the pool within this townhome area. So I think adding a jacuzzi to our backyard and for it to be private would have been the last straw for us to figure out will that attract more guests, or is this market just is what it is? So
let's try and reel it back to the numbers.
Okay.
Or I would say the people's last monetary question would be, how much were you paying in rent?
$3,250 a month. So rent was $3,250 a month.
So okay, so we were paying $3,250 a month, and she said, and the reason. Let me also add, Brianna was spearheading this Airbnb out here, so this is why I'm asking her a lot of these questions, because since she was spearheading this, she has a lot of these numbers memorized more than I do. Whereas, I spearhead the international properties, and I could probably talk more about those as well, just from a number standpoint. But from experience standpoint, we've pretty much been hand in hand on that and really try to help each other with those issues out here. But monetarily, that's really where she more so has more of that knowledge up front.
Yeah, the communication with the landlord, the finances of paying for this property and stuff like that, like those things are
So so there you have it. You said you made you said we made about 40,000 to 50,000 for the year.
40 to 50 within the 6 months, off this property.
Well, we had it for a year.
Oh, so, well, for the year. Well, yes. I'm going off of.
And then we spent about $3,250 a month on rent. So in the end, yes, we did wind up being profitable. However, would we have like a 12-month market? Yes, we probably would have preferred that. And also with the half a year market, legit, it takes one incident during peak season to cut off, a week's worth, a month's worth of revenue, which could be a problem because you don't have the other 6 months to bounce back throughout the year of your lease. So, for example, she had a cleaning issue and we had to refund, I think, about 2 or 3 guests throughout that 6-month stretch. And that can be detrimental to those monthly profits, especially if they're booking for 5 plus, 6 plus, even 10 plus days throughout the month. So that's why we're more so, shutting this down. We've learned what we learned, but when it comes to the monetary aspect of things, these are all things that we do have to consider when choosing an Airbnb in the future.
Yes.
Let me try and reconnect this real quick.
And reviews are
one second.
gold.
1 second. Okay. Yeah. We're good.
Reviews are gold. So even if people get asking,
we're probably gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to veer off on too many tangents.
Okay.
With these questions, because I don't want to have to cut things off because it doesn't correspond with the questions. Okay.
All right. I'll just answer his question.
All right. Okay. Next question. What's the biggest lesson that we've learned from this property?
The biggest lesson would be to do extensive market research on any market that you want to acquire an Airbnb, an investment property. That's key. Even though we did do research, we have so much more knowledge now that what we know now, we did not do then. And so that's why we ended up in this situation. But really talking to locals, reaching out to other Airbnb hosts and just really, running the numbers. And, I spoke to other hosts too, and they did tell me and warn me about the dry season here, but I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. And I think when you get advice and you see the numbers, don't try to increase them in your head. Don't try to think this. Sometimes the numbers are the numbers, the facts are the facts, and you have to stick to that. So I was hoping for dry season to not be as bad as it was, as I was told, and I kind of just still went with it, and then I learned it the hard way. So.
And I think another thing well, to build off what you just said, is what you've learned. So I think if you had to go through it again, I think one strategy we would implement is simply just preparing for that dry season. Like we got the Airbnb in April, right? April.
April
It was
1st.
April, right? So if we had known what the dry season would have intended, we definitely would have tried to find like a midterm tenant to stay there during those hot months.
Yeah.
But we just didn't know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? So if we had like a 2-year lease where we were pretty much locked in for 2 years, and right now it's May.
Yeah.
We would have spent probably from January all the way till May really trying to get some long-term tenants in the space during those hot months. And not to say like this should deter people from those seasonal markets, because I would say if we did find a tenant for those hot months, like this would have been perfect. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We
for
probably, if we had known and better prepared for it that first time around, we probably would have took a stab at it again this year. However, that's just a lesson that we're going to take and apply it to the next seasonal Airbnb that we wind up landing. Not to say that we're never going to do seasonal again. We're going to take our lessons from this Airbnb and apply it to the next one.
Yes. The last thing I would say is the investment is different for someone trying to do rental arbitrage and a homeowner. So if you're a homeowner, of course you're upcharging a little bit more for rent. And if you're the tenant, if we're trying to tax on top of our rent, it's going to be really high for someone, as opposed to a landlord whose mortgage may be about, let's say, $1,700 to $2,000 a month. They can get somebody in here for $2,700 a month and be cash flowing like $700 or so, or whatever off the property. So it is a little harder to just try to keep taxing on, higher payments for other people when doing it the rental arbitrage way. But it applies differently for homeowners too. So
I'll also say in a market like Scottsdale, where rent is like $3,250, during peak season you could make almost double, sometimes even triple that. So even if like the slow months, you're finding a tenant for slightly under what you're paying in rent, sometimes you would have to, sacrifice those losses for the long-term gain. So don't be afraid. Like, it's not a case where like if your rent is $3,250 per se, you're like, I can't charge under $3,250. You can charge $2,500 for those hot or slow seasons, and then make it back during those peak seasons. So don't ever feel like what your rent is, you can't go below that, because there are cases where it is strategically, I would say it's strategically better for you to go a little below the rent and cut your losses for those months, and then get it back during those peak seasons.
He's saying basically you'd come out of pocket a little bit, but instead of you paying the full rent, at least you have somebody that's covering like 75% of it, and instead of paying the full $3,250, at least you're paying like $1,000 or something. So.
Exactly. And slow money is better than no money. Wise words of Meek Mill. Okay, so I think we pretty much touched all of the points that we needed just from a lesson standpoint. On to the next question. This is a very straightforward, to the point question. What went wrong and what went right?
What went wrong and what went right?
Let's start with the wrongs.
Honestly, what went wrong?
Give me 2 wrongs.
There's only 2 wrongs with this property, and I mentioned them before. What went wrong was the property being in a seasonal market, so we were already cut down to... Okay.
Let's be more specific. Okay. What were controllable wrongs and what were controllable rights?
Okay, so controllable wrongs was having a cleaner who was doing bad work, and people were telling me that the place wasn't as clean as we may be expecting. We were relaying this message back to our cleaners and things of that nature, but she was like, you know what, I'll send my cleaners over there. Don't worry, you don't have to pay for it. They're like, some guests are just being really like specific about certain things. So I was like, yeah, we're like anal about certain things. So I was like, okay, no problem. She's going to go back and correct it and the guests are going to be fine, whatever. But over time, that's happened too many times for comfort. And yeah, we just prolonged with her way too long. So that was a controllable wrong. And we should have fired and got a better cleaner ASAP. So that's the first thing. And what went right? What went right was that the property was beautifully designed upon our arrival, upon acquiring it. This was a fully furnished place. People always complimented the decor and the setup here. The guest communication, the service, everything, everything that we could give to the guest. An experience, as far as guest experience on our end, I think went really right. We provided snacks, waters, a great space and home for people to stay in when they came to Scottsdale, and I think that went right. We did our best to just like accommodate them as best as we can, and that stood out to the guests.
Okay, I'll add another right and wrong.
Okay.
For us, I think one place where we did go wrong that we could, probably do better for our next, or even for our now international Airbnbs and out-of-state Airbnbs. The last time we came here was the first time we came here. Mm-hmm. I think we could have taken, just like a like if we have this place for a year, we could have came here at month 6 just to check out the space.
Quarterly
quarterly. I think that for this Airbnb specifically, we may have put too much trust on our eyes and ears around here, where if we had came and saw it for ourselves, we would have, shut it down immediately and made the proper adjustments. So that's another controllable wrong. But, also we had our own situations back in New York that, required priority attention. So I think that that's something we definitely could have took more initiative, and
I agree, that's a good one.
And that's something that we could apply for our future, out of state, out of country Airbnbs. And I'd say another thing that went right for us out here was the implementation of our key-coded locks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's something that we generally do.
Yeah, that's a necessary for every property.
It was great for us in terms of, managing it remotely. Mm-hmm. That was our way to control who's coming in at what time. And I think you even have a story, and it relates back to the cleaners, of why it's important to have key-coded locks out here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to briefly go over it. But
I actually have another one.
You have another one?
I have another one. I'm not too sure what you're talking about.
Another story or another story. Right or wrong? Well, I'm talking about the story of when that cleaner showed up that morning.
Oh, yeah.
Unexpectedly.
The cleaner, they were really bad after a while, but she was sending, it was a cleaning company, and she sent her cleaners here to the property. And you
told her you're gonna have you basically told her that you're gonna have someone come here and check it out in the morning.
Yes.
And so she tried to send cleaners there before that supposed person was coming to check it out that morning.
Yeah. Luckily, I changed the codes.
Luckily, we had the Ring camera set up, so we got the notification that there was motion on the property, and we basically told her she needs to not enter the property, or else, it's going to be a serious issue. And then we were able to change the codes to make sure that they couldn't enter the property.
That was one. Key coded locks definitely, was always the right things that we do.
And Wi-Fi key-coded locks. A lot of people make the mistake of getting Bluetooth key-coded locks, and the only issue with that is that you can't change it from anywhere outside of the property.
Yeah. The other wrong, I would say, is...
Oh, there's another wrong.
There's another wrong.
Okay, that's great.
With the cleaners, we weren't receiving pre and post photos of the property. And we were always bringing it up to the cleaners, but, you know, they would mention, they would either send some photos, you know, they would send us like 5 or 6 photos, or sometimes they won't send any. And then a lot of times, you know, the owner of the company would just be like, I told her to take photos, I'm so sorry. And then it just was a cycle, and it became a hassle to even keep asking because we were never receiving the photos. And our New York cleaners, they send us 50 to 100 pre-photos before they clean, and then 50 to 100 post photos. So we see
shout out the New York cleaners.
Yeah, we see every nook and cranny of the house, how it's looking. And so even when the guests out here in Arizona were complaining about cleanliness, I had nothing to back it up. I couldn't even say, this, my cleaner sent me this, can you send me something, can you send me a photo? They would send me photos, and I have literally nothing to defend myself. So pre and post photos was a big thing that we should have been more adamant on. Yeah. But with that cleaner that we were working with, they were just really lackadaisical, and they weren't really as serious as we were. So moving forward, always get pre and post photos from your cleaners, period.
So the wrongs, we would say, is
not firing quick enough.
Not getting pre and post photos.
Cleaning photos.
And then not visiting the property.
Yes.
Or at least once or twice throughout the duration of the arbitrage.
Yeah.
If it's out of state or out of country.
Yeah.
And then the rights, we would say, are
key-coded locks. I would say guest communication and experience.
But what was the one that you mentioned earlier?
What was the other one? I forget. Because I'm going down the line of so many things. You probably have to rewind.
Okay. You said, it was already furnished.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. That's preference too. I mean, that just was easier for us.
No, that was
but good. Some people you can get your own property.
Another sidebar. Just to go over the last wrong that you mentioned about the pre and post photos. In St. Lucia, at our Airbnb in St. Lucia, one of our guests actually broke one of our tables. But luckily, the cleaner had took a video prior to that guest reservation. So I was able to submit the claim and get a payout for that item, which I then could decide whether I wanted to repurchase that or upgrade it to something nicer. So that was really good, and that's really the importance of getting those pre and post photos, whether it's from yourself as a cleaner or whoever you're hiring as a cleaner.
Yes.
So, all right. So let's move on to the next question. We're doing pretty good on time. We're about halfway there, and we've been here for about 30 minutes, so that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a really good question. I like this one. So for this Airbnb specifically, I know we mentioned the seasonality and stuff. The question is, would you consider this a bad investment, or would you consider the timing of this bad? And not to subject it to it being bad, but if you had to analyze the situation here.
No, this was not a bad investment.
Okay.
It wasn't a bad investment.
When I say bad, I don't necessarily mean bad in the sense like it failed, but bad as in the sense of, could it have been better, or would you have, like, let's say for the timing aspect,
I get it.
Would you have preferred to take it at a better timing?
No, I think it wasn't a bad investment. I think, money was still made. Mm-hmm. We're still profitable.
Absolutely.
And lessons were learned. And I think we've got the property at the perfect time. We got the property at a time where we were still in peak season. So, I mean, as being our first out of state property, you know, I was still able to see a full 2 months of packed months that are booked, you know, and then after that it started to dwindle down. But, you know, I guess if I got this property in the summertime and then, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to list it on Airbnb, on booking.com and all this stuff, and then get no bookings, I think my confidence would have really taken a nosedive, because it's like, whoa, what did I just get myself into? But I think so many lessons were learned from the experience. I think we came into the experience very prepared with the funds to carry us through the slow season. So we were already thinking about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were profitable. We learned from this experience, and we did this early in our rental arbitrage career. So moving forward, it's not like we did this 5 years down the road. Like, we did this in year 2 of us being in the Airbnb and short-term rental space. So this was absolutely a great investment when it comes to learning, and when it comes to I mean, just, you know, yeah, I would say learning overall, but I can't say it's bad, because money was made, money wasn't lost, and we were able to grow from it. So maybe it would be a bad investment if money was lost, I would say. So
Well,
that would be a bad investment.
You know, luckily money wasn't lost, but I think I want to point out one thing that I always speak about with you, just like even from a daily mentality standpoint, like your outlook on this situation, even though it was rough at times, is generally positive. And it's only positive because you're choosing to take away the positive out of it, you know? And in this industry, or even in business in general, you have to have that type of mentality where you're seeing the glass half full. You always have to see the glass half full. And even when things are going bad, or, you know, things are rough, you know, like, for example, when a car gets into an accident, we're just like, you know, it's part of the job, you know, whereas some people may, you know, overreact, panic, or in finance term, sell when everything is crashing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, putting more value on the lessons in the bad situations instead of putting more value in the situation itself is very key in this industry, especially as someone who plans on, you know, doing this long term.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to, you know, point out her mentality on the situation, and I, you know, commend you for that big time, because I was there when, you know, those bad situations were happening, and you may have felt like, you know, we literally had talks like, is this something we should hold on to or let go?
Yeah, I was asking him in the summertime, like, should we just end the lease now? And Tyrell was just like, just wait for peak season. It's coming. Like, just wait for October, you know, like, you know, just wait. And I'm just like, I'll wait it out. And then I did wait it out, and things did pick up again. And it was just like the weirdest thing. I'm just like, wow. Like, it's like clockwork.
Yeah.
Like clockwork.
It's like spring and winter.
It's day and night.
Day and night.
Yeah.
I would say, though, and I think this is like a great sub-question. How do you know when to see something through and when to let it go? Because I'll tell you this.
Okay.
If I knew what the summer months were going to look like, I would have told you just cut your loss with the lease and break. Let them keep your deposit.
Yeah.
If this was like, let's say, like July, when it really started, or not, it really started in June, actually.
Yeah, June.
If it was like June, and I would say, okay, cut your losses for like, you know, that dry season, because I think we didn't get a booking, or we probably got like 1 or 2 bookings from like June all the way to like October, maybe.
Yeah, I think the first booking was actually end of November.
Oh, okay.
For this year.
End of November, right.
Yeah.
So if we knew what was coming, definitely would have told her to cut her losses. However, we didn't have that conversation until like September, you know? So at that point, it's like the distance from the beginning of the dry season up until now is a lot longer than the distance from the point where we were at until things would have started picking up. So at that point, since we already went through more than half the journey, it's like we might as well see it through. But knowing how, you know, like if we had to go through it a second time, this is one of the reasons why we're definitely like just not going through it a second time.
Yeah. But to get back to your question, you said, how do you know when to push through and how do you know when to cut your losses?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the situation. I mean, with this situation, I really didn't know. I didn't know whether to keep going. I didn't know whether to cut my losses. I had to really get a lot of confidence from Tyrell to even stay in this townhome for as long as I did. And I'm glad that I did because it was like a full, complete circle and I learned everything and like I saw everything that I needed to see in being in a situation like this. But to be honest with you, that's a tough question. I don't think I fully have the answer for that right now. Because even in the stock market, sometimes I'm like, should I pull out now? Should I stay? And sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. I think sometimes you just have to go with your gut and just do a deep analysis of, like, let's say if you don't have I had the funds to back up the dry some months. So I knew that I can take the loss and I can wait for peak season to come around. So you have to take certain things into consideration. If I knew I didn't have the funds, I knew either the landlord is going to have me out on his terms or I was going to be out on my terms. So I think it really comes to you knowing your situation, finances, and what's going on in your position. And then, you know, trying to make the right move there. But everything is, you know, everything. About, do I need to, you know, keep going with a certain thing or, you know, cut it off, whether that be with cleaners, whether that be with anything.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone would sorry. I don't think anyone would ever truly know what the season holds. But the best thing you could do is prepare, you know? And prepare looks like market research. Prepare even looks like asking other Airbnb hosts what seasons have been like for them.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do that. I remember
we spoke about that in the beginning.
But I'm about to bring out a specific situation. Recently, someone reached out to us in New York about the New York market. And one thing that we did that, you know, or one thing they did that we really appreciated, they sent us a charcuterie board.
Yeah, they sent us, charcuterie board box.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, like sometimes you may have to hit up local people and ask them questions, and then you could even send them something nice as an appreciation of them taking the time out to tell you what their experience is like. Yeah. All of that, I'll tell you this, if we could have saved thousands of dollars by giving someone a $50 gift, I'd take that exchange any day, you know? Or even give someone a $50 gift to potentially make an extra couple $1,000s. I'll take that gift anytime. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out to locals. You may not get not every host may be as responsive, but the ones that are, definitely value them and show them that you value them, and, you know, show them your appreciation for them giving you
he means
their time.
Local Airbnb hosts in there, not locals like the people who live there, but
yes,
the local Airbnb hosts in that market.
So that I would say, like, preparation is probably the best way to really know whether or not, you know, to keep going through certain things, or, you know, pulling out whenever you can and cutting your losses where needed. Okay, so next question. And I think the next couple questions will have shorter answers.
Okay.
So question number 6. Would you ever invest in Scottsdale again?
I think it would depend on the type of property. Um, it would depend on the type of property, yes. A bigger single home that's not connected, pool. I'm not afraid to invest in it again. I would definitely love to do some management for property owners out here, which is less risk and lower risk for me. But as far as out of pocket, I think I'm going to give the area a rest for now. But, in the past, I've listed other homes in the Scottsdale area and Phoenix area on Airbnb to see like if people would book and stuff like that. And people do like to book the more extravagant homes. So if I'm able to get my hands on a more extravagant home with private pool and, game room and things that are really intriguing to people, I think that would be, I would love to test that out. But I would also do more market research too, because seasons and things change in all markets. So you want to just stay up to date with, what the trends are for certain things. But yeah.
I think another key thing that you mentioned was you would look to do more management instead of arbitrage. And I think for those riskier markets, I think management is definitely a better sell for in terms of services, whereas it's less risk. Unless you properly prepare to arbitrage, where it's like, all right, we're going to make sure that for the slow seasons, we're going to just try and get the place filled more so than be revenue focused. But I think for those riskier markets, management is definitely the better route, just because slow season, you don't really have any losses. But then peak season, you get a percentage of the revenue that you do bring in. And then for more guaranteed markets where it's not as seasonal, and also there's not much rules and regulations that prohibit you from doing short term or stuff like that, you can definitely look to arbitrage.
Yeah. Management may not be as attractive to some homeowners. Depends on the homeowner and depends on, only because it's dependent upon what money that we can secure that they get, a percentage of, and then we get the other percentage. A lot of homeowners or landlords, like want long-term tenants, so where they know every month you're paying this, that, and the third, no more, no less, whatever, like that's set in stone. But yeah, management is always great for us as hosts and as like a management company, and also for other people who are trying to get into the space with, low risk. Sometimes it could be hard to pitch that to homeowners or landlords because, they know that their revenue may fluctuate, and they know that there is possibility for the people who are coming in. You never know what can happen if there's, what people are coming in from Airbnb, from VRBO, Booking.com. So, I would say that's just like the double-edged sword of that. But, yeah.
But I say, as long as there's a property, there's an opportunity. It's really just...
I agree.
As a property owner, or not as a property owner, but if you're dealing with a property owner, you really just have to figure out what's most important to them. For some people, it may be the property itself. For some people, it may be about the money. For some people, it may be about time.
Yeah.
So when you're pitching the services to them, we know it's extremely profitable because we're not going to target any, random old city in any old town.
Yeah.
But we're going to, target cities that we know is very profitable. It's just about making them understand that. Now, not all homeowners do understand that, and that's fine. But really understanding what's most important to them and then seeing if your solution can help solve their concerns is very key in, pitching your services to them.
Yeah.
And it's okay if it doesn't. But I think we're entering a new age where vacation rentals, short-term rentals is really becoming popular, especially as more people are traveling. today than ever before.
Post-COVID.
Post-COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, traveling was like 30 years ago, only a select amount of people traveled, and now people could travel today for like 100 and change after the flight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the short-term market is definitely increasing, and a lot of homeowners are a little behind in the awareness of this growing industry. So as, property managers or, asset managers, we would say, it's our job to bring this awareness to them.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
yeah. So next question. Let us move on. By the way, you're doing great.
Oh, by the way, you're doing great.
Oh, I mean, hey. She always gassing me. Okay. Next question. What should future Airbnb hosts in Arizona, specifically in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, what are some things they should know before getting into this market?
They should know. So for people who aren't in the area, so people who want to get into the Scottsdale Phoenix area?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean,
if you just had to give like a quick 3.
What they should know, I think I've touched upon it a couple times. They should know that there are a lot of Airbnbs in this market. There's a lot because the rules and regulations in Arizona are a lot more relaxed than the other cities, Miami, New York, Cali, things of that nature. So there's a whole bunch. So competition is high. They should definitely know that. The second thing they should know is that this market is, like I said before, seasonal. It gets so hot that people are not even able to inside a building, whether that's work, whether that's a restaurant, whether that's the grocery store, whatever. People are not outside. The asphalt is even hot. Dogs can't walk on the ground. Nobody's really outside. So take that into consideration. If you think that people are going to be out and about and kind of having like rooftop parties,
no.
I mean, if it's a rooftop party with, some cabanas and shades, maybe, and some mist blowing and fans, cool. But on the regular, people are not actively outside, just way too hot. So that's number 2. And number 3 is that the property that they do choose should have great amenities that are suitable for this area, for the heat, such as pools, maybe pools, jacuzzis. What else did I see? And
AC,
AC, all that stuff. So that's the main thing. And I think those are things that are pools, especially, are major selling points. So this space should definitely have some things that could lure somebody in to want to stay with you. So.
Yes, and just to build off of that third point, the amenities are very important. Now, even though it is hot in Arizona for 6 months out of the year, that doesn't mean hundreds of thousands, millions of people still aren't flying in daily. So it's really just about having the right amenities to make it comfortable for people to stay or want to stay at your place all year round. Because even if those amenities are great during those slow seasons, then it's definitely going to be great during those peak seasons as well. So
absolutely,
amenities are key. But yeah, I think that those are really good points. Next question. So what's the what's the closing process like, and what happens now with the space?
The closing process of closing down this Airbnb, it looks like changing the key, coded doors, locks.
Yes, we have to change that.
Changing the locks back to what the homeowner had on them previously, removing our welcome guidebook. We did add our own personal touch and little things such as like flowers or towels and things of that nature. We can take those things back, but this place came furnished, so we kind of could just leave with our hands clean. But and another thing would be shutting down all of the utilities. So this morning I put an end date for internet, put an end date for gas and electric, and those were like the main things. So that's but yeah.
Yeah, that's literally all it is. Outside of the physical work that we would do, we would just shut down the listing, and then move forward. But
Yeah.
another key thing that you did forget, that I think is very important just for the long term, you I'm blanking out real quick.
And it's okay. It's okay.
No.
It'll come back to you.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it. But after everything is done, and this is very important as someone who will potentially do arbitrage in the future, getting a notice, or I would say like a letter of recommendation or referral,
recommendation letter
from the property owner. We've been doing really well just in terms of payment and keeping the place clean. After you leave, just have them sign off on a paper basically stating, hey, they were great tenants. They paid their rent on time. They left the property clean. And that really is great to have that for future applications, for future Airbnbs that you plan on doing arbitrage with.
For sure. So, I need to make sure to get that letter of recommendation because, we did great. And landlord even told us, if you need a letter of recommendation, please let us know. We'll write that ASAP. And,
yes. And sometimes that is more of I would say, a solid. My words are really spacing out right now. I would say
we didn't eat today, so that's why
I didn't. We didn't unfortunately. Okay. But sometimes that letter of recommendation holds more weight than a credit score. It holds more weight than a proof of income sometimes. And since most of our leases are corporate leases, it really makes a good impression on those future property owners who need some sort of, why are my words blanking out? They need some sort of,
validation or reassurance.
Right, exactly. Wow, I'm blanking out crazy. You know what that means? That means we have to get through these last two questions very soon. Okay, so, next two questions. How does this impact our Airbnb portfolio?
Listen, it doesn't really impact it until I have to remove it. I have to pay for 15 listings already, and until I get another 2 listings, the portfolio will still remain. This property will still remain in the portfolio because, I have to pay for the 15 listings. If I remove them, I'm still going to be paying the same price for 13 listings. So, how it impacts the portfolio from a booking standpoint, it's just that we're not getting revenue from this property anymore. It's not something that we can refer to people, or, it's not a place that is active in our portfolio. Until we get, I would say, 2 more listings, I would replace those 2 listings with the 2 listings I have for this property. I have a monthly listing and a short-term rental listing for this property. So, until then, it's still in our portfolio. It's still going to be on Airbnb. The dates will be blocked out forever. Right. Unless this property owner is like, if you can manage, then we reopen it again. But other than that, that's pretty much it. We're down a listing, we're down a property, and that's pretty much that.
Yeah, I think you answered that perfectly. I have nothing more to add to that.
Okay.
either that or I'm just really trying to wrap this up. But yeah, and I think so. The last question is kind of repetitive. You know, it's sort of like a what would you do differently kind of thing. But I don't think we really need to get into that. I think what's one thing the people would definitely want to know.
What would they want to know?
As someone answering questions, what do you think is a question that you haven't answered?
A question that I haven't answered. It's kind of hard to say. I think a lot of people wanted to know the numbers, and I feel like we answered that, which is great because you know people want to know how much you're making, how much you're spending in rent. I feel like that's a big one.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I don't have one off the top of my head.
Okay. Well then, that's fine. Okay. How about this? We talked about, mistakes people shouldn't make, or, just trying to give people as much knowledge as we can. Oh, I'm looking down there. Trying to give people as much knowledge as we can to help them not make the same mistakes we made. But what is one thing that you really enjoyed about having this Airbnb?
The biggest thing that I enjoyed was just honestly having this place in my portfolio. I think it was such a huge accomplishment for Tyrell and I. And just being able to talk about it, being able to suggest it to people who are, being able to house my parents when they came to Arizona. My dad came on one occasion and he stayed here. And so that was the first time of him seeing something that I'm doing outside of New York, and then my mom came here with her family when she was in town. And so that was that was major for me because my family got to reap the benefits of a property that I have in my portfolio and that I'm managing, and that, so it was nice. I feel like, if anything, my parents were able to come and bless this space, and that was an amazing feeling. They see the growth from New York to here, and we're trying to be global and more than just domestic and everything. We are global. We are international and domestic, but we're trying to be global.
We're like Western Hemisphere global.
Yeah. But, so that was the biggest thing. I think
that's pretty amazing. And I know sometimes for people to hear about what you're doing and then actually experience it firsthand, it makes them realize wow, this is really real.
Yeah.
And I think for parents specifically, they always want the best for their kids, and they always try to make sure you have a safety net. I think that's one thing, especially in African American communities, parents try to make sure that their kids have safety nets, and sometimes safety nets come with a rope, so it limits how high you can go. So I think that parents do push for jobs and make sure that you have certain things for
I
safety.
see what you're saying. Yeah.
And sometimes what they push for safety contradicts what you need to, the situations that you need to put yourself in order to break those ceilings.
Yeah.
So for them to come here and really see this is a ceiling that was broken.
Yeah.
And
they see our work.
It's wow, you're really managing this all the way from New York, and it's running really well. And not only were they able to, see the space, but see how you operate it in terms of, having cleaners here, having the key coded doors, basic communication. I think that was a really good moment for them as parents. And even though they do push us to have those safety nets, I know when they came here, they were very proud of the ceiling that you personally broke. And it sort of gives them a different type of respect for you, not only as their daughter, but just as a woman and an individual. And it's okay, she can handle herself, so I think I think like, you know, that's a very proud moment.
Yeah.
I'm proud for you. I know your parents, so knowing that they're proud of that, and you know, yeah, you know, I'm proud that you can make them proud, and I can help you make them proud.
Yeah.
And you make me proud.
Oh, thank you, baby. You make me proud too.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
yeah, and you know, now we're making our parents. Now
now
we're making my parents proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You see, it's always like a
yeah.
seesaw. You know, it's like we're always
But,
always doing
yeah,
something.
shout out our parents, man. It wasn't always like they were always on board, but we've been able to show them that, you know, this really works, and now they're fully on board.
Yeah.
They call their friends. They're like, yo, you would never believe what you know, Ty or Bree got going on. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that pretty much ends this segment. It's sad. This is our last day here, guys. You know, probably gonna show you guys some cut scenes of this space. But yeah, this is our last day here. I thought it was only right that, you know, we sit here and really think back on our journey here and how we got here and what we've learned.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for what the future holds for us.
Me too.
And hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If this is something you guys would like to see more, learn more of, definitely let us know in the comments below so that we can continue making content that's more suitable to who is now our future audience. And don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, definitely don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit that button.
As you guys know, my goal this year is to monetize. So a subscription goes a very long way. And not only that, your watch hours really do go a long way. So until the next video, this is what we've learned as owning an Airbnb or Airbnb owners here in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yes.
Hopefully we've helped you guys. Hopefully we've somewhat entertained you guys. And we'll see you guys on the next video.
Yes. Good. Mwah. See you guys.
My back.